welcome to the first episode of On the Beaten Track. This is the first in a series of diary pieces that I'm planning on putting together throughout the year. I've been toying with the idea of doing a diary piece for quite a while now really. Some of you might be more familiar with the sort of atmospheric videos that have been putting together up until this point, but I think a diary piece was just sort of the next step on for me really, just to show you how I approach my own fishing. So there's only one place to start the first episode, and that's Blakemere. It's a place where I pretty much spent all my time last year really. It was the only place I really fished. It's just one of those lakes that I just instantly fell in love with and didn't want to fish anywhere else really. I was planning on starting my diary piece a few weeks ago when I was last down, but I managed to time my session perfectly with the arrival of Storm Henry, which just made any filming impossible really. I could barely keep the bivvy over my head at times, never mind doing any filming. But I did manage a couple of fish. I had a nice scaly low double on the first night, and then a nice 17-pound mirror just as I was packing up on the morning of my birthday as well, which was nice. So I'm back down for 48 hours on this session. I arrived this morning about 7:30, had a little walk around the lake. Didn't see anything showing at all, which isn't rare for this time of year on here really. They just don't like to show themselves this time of year. So because of that, I've set up into a swim known as the boathouse. It's a swim that tends to do a lot of the fish during the winter months really. It commands the whole central body of the lake, and it do tend to hold up here quite a lot this time of year. As I say, the rods are out. I haven't seen anything up until now. Just see how things go for the rest of today. It's lovely and warm now. It's probably getting upwards towards double figures, I would have thought. I think it's meant to drop down to about -3 tonight, so I don't know how that's going to affect the fishing. We'll just have to wait and see. Hasn't been fishing too well the last few weeks. I think over the last 2 weeks, I think there's been about 3 fish out, so maybe up against it a little bit, but we'll just have to see how things go. I'll run you through how I'm fishing, where I'm fishing, tactics, things like that a bit later on, but for now we'll just see how things go the rest of today, and then I'll check back in later. Speak to you soon.
We stayed up late to watch a movie. April Fools, I think a Tuesday. Spring had just arrived and so our clothes were hanging loosely. We stepped outside to the old petrol station. Out of nowhere started raining, kinda suited the occasion. Reminded me of when we spent our whole summer vacation, 2011.
Right, so we're just coming into the first night of the session now. I got the rods out just before it went dark and just topped the spots up with a little bit more bait. I haven't gone too heavy on the bait, and I've only put sort of half a kilo over each rod. Just mixed 10 and 15 mil Pacific tuna, and then just a few spawns and maggots over the top just to try and get them grubbing around a little bit. It's been really quiet today. I haven't seen a fish on the whole lake. I think I may have been done on one rod earlier on, so I've just taken some of the putty off the pop-up just to help it fly into the fish's mouth a little bit easier. Looks like it's going to be a really cold night now. It's gone really clear. Wind's died right down. Weatherman's saying -3, and I think he's probably going to be right. So remains to be seen what happens. Hopefully the temperatures won't knock the fishing on the head too much. But I think I'm going to get myself some tea, and hopefully I'll have something to report during the night, but if not, I'll catch up with you in the morning. Fingers crossed. Night.
2 weeks wasted, some side I love we tasted. Find your love you chase it. If I never told you that I wanna hold.
Right guys, so we're just coming into the second night of the session now. There was nothing to report last night unfortunately. It did go really cold as expected, dropped down to -3, and it just knocked the fishing on the head altogether really. Didn't see a single fish or hear a single fish all night. It's been pretty much the same story today really. It went really cold at one point. The wind switched direction. I've had the wind in my face and rain, which has been lovely. So I haven't really been able to do much filming today. I've pretty much been confined to the bivvy for most of the time. But last couple of hours the temperature's gone right up, the wind's dropped down, and I've actually seen a couple of fish showing. So it's looking pretty good for tonight now. Going into the second night with a bit more confidence anyway. Just gone around and topped the spots up with a little bit more bait. I've just put maybe half a kilo over 3 rods, and just a few spawns and maggots again, just to hopefully get them grubbing around a bit really. So just before I put the rods out for the night, I just thought I'd quickly run you through how I'm actually fishing. So I'm just fishing a semi-stiff hinge, just some 20-pound end trap semi-stiff, down to a chod section, which is 20-pound mouth trap, size 6 choddy B, barbless reels only on here, and then a Pacific tuna cork ball pop-up which I've had soaking in the matching Pacific tuna glug, so it's got nice and sticky. It's been in there for a couple of months now. Down to the lead section. Caught a heli-safe bead, just so the lead drops off as soon as you connect with the fish. It's not so much a problem this time of year on here, but as soon as the pads get up, there is a lot of pads, so it's really important that you drop your lead. But it's just something I like to do as a matter of course. Really, I don't want to have a lead bumping about while I'm playing a fish, so I always like to drop that. Just above that, just a little bead, which will pop off just in case I ever crack off, and the fish will be able to get rid of the leader and just have the rig in its mouth then. Onto the leader itself. This is a Nash unleaded leader. This is the Klingon leader. Again, lead cores banned on here, but you are allowed the unleaded leaders, which are, in my opinion, a lot better anyway. They're really nice and supple, and they'll hug the bottom nicely. So that's how I'm fishing. Hopefully it'll do something for me tonight. So if I have anything tonight, I'll let you know, but if not, I'll speak to you in the morning. Which is it.
If I never told you that I wanna hold you, that I wanna hold you, I wish it was over by now. 'Cause you're coming over to my house, you're coming over to my house. Red eyes don't get rid of your doubt by now. 'Cause you're coming over to my house, you're coming over to my house. Red eyes don't get rid of your stay up late to watch the day arrive. Lucky number 25. Take a minute just to live it, and that's when you'll realize every now and then the worst we can make surprise.
Right, well, I said it was looking good last night. Had this one just before it went live this morning. This is on a rod that I repositioned later on in the night, an angler and the next swim down left. So I thought I'd move the rod down to the bush on the far margin, and this was the result. This was taken on one of the new Dairy Supreme from the Elite range. Absolutely stunning Blakemere mirror. Really nice dark fish. Show you to the side. Really lovely fish. Get some stills, we'll get them weighed and then slip them back.
I just wish it was over. If I never told you that I wanna hold you, that I wanna hold you, I wish it was over by now. 'Cause you're coming over to my house, you're coming over to my house.
Right, so just slipped that fish back now. Really chuffed with that one, really nice dark scaly one. It went 17-15 on the scales, so I'm really happy with that. So the lake hasn't been fishing too well, so it's just nice to have a fish. I think that's been the first fish out for well over a week now, so I must be doing something right. It actually came on a rod that I repositioned late on last night. I had an angler in the swim to my right who packed up just before dark, so I decided to move one of the rods off the main spot and move it further down to my right. I think this time of year it just pays to spread your rods out a bit, really. So I haven't really seen many fish to give me anything to go on, really, so it's, you know, you don't want to be limiting yourself to one area, so I moved the rod anyway. I just put about 60-70 baits out with the throwing stick, just 15mm Pacific tunas, and then I fished one of the new Dairy Supreme pop-ups from the Elite range over the top, and that's what's done the business for me. Just have to apologise for the quality of the footage on with that fish, really. The weather's just been absolutely horrific. It started raining 11 o'clock last night and just hasn't stopped since. It just made any filming impossible, really. But I'll just show you where I've actually been fishing this session. So I've just used my pliers to sort of point it out. This tree that you can see in the distance here, this is where I started fishing, just 24 wraps, which puts me just down at the bottom of the shelf. Didn't want to be too high up the shelf with it being quite cold still. Didn't think they'd want to be up in the shallow water, so I've gone just down near the bottom, just before you get into the really troddy silt. I'll say I had two rods on that last night, and then the one that I repositioned, if we just swing the camera around, you can see this bush here. This is where I repositioned that rod. 24 wraps again. and probably in about 10 feet of water just down near the bottom of the shelf. So I've just moved another rod to that area now, just in case there is more fish in the area. Probably won't stick around too much longer now. I'm just hoping for a break in this weather so I can get everything packed up in the dry, hopefully. I say it's just been absolutely horrific up to now, but so I've had the fish, so I don't mind, I'm happy. So unless I have another fish before I go, that's pretty much the end of this this diary piece. So I'll speak to you soon. Hope you enjoyed it.